And they were like, well, why are you dieting? And I responded and I said, because I like to challenge myself. And they were like, oh, they're like, well, that's weird, but respectable. And I was like, yeah, I guess so. So something that somebody asked me, I think it was actually from YouTube. What do you say to yourself when you don't feel like doing something? Or what practices do you use? I know that you need discipline, but how can I build the discipline that you have? I don't use anything to keep myself disciplined. What I use is I feel my overarching fear of failure to keep myself on track. Because I'm honestly, to some extent, I actually don't feel like I'm a disciplined person.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, I feel like you've seen this actually with respect to like my diet and the gym and stuff like that. Like I fall off. I just do. But when I'm fucking ready to go, I'm ready to go. Like I haven't broken my fucking diet. Like I'll go the full fucking 12 weeks and not break my diet. Like I don't give a fuck. So like when I have like an overarching goal, I'm unstoppable. And the reason why I actually feel this way is because when I put things out there, this might be an interesting, maybe I do have strategies. I'll put it out there. So, for example, I went to a Halloween party on the weekend. It was actually a birthday party / Halloween party. Mm-hmm. And there was all kinds of shit there. There was so much food there. So like, and they're Italian, they're well off. And I'm like, God, fuck. So they got this really, so you can imagine like old school Italian family. Dude, they had so much fucking food. They had like porchetta sandwiches. They had like fucking all this pizza. They had like so much fucking candy that like, I felt like looking at it, I was having like a diabetic coma. And like, and there was so much shit. Like they had not hors d'oeuvres. What do you call that? Like in Italian, we call that table that
like
that has
antipasta.
They had this
antipastos,
antipasta table the size of this fucking podcast. My desk here, it was enormous, dude. With all this cheese, I didn't have any, and I actually oddly like it. Mm-hmm. But what happens is people are like, oh, damn, like what? Why aren't you eating? And I'm like, no, I can't. Like I'm on a diet and this is my goal. So what I do is I put it out there, and that inherently produces discipline for me, because I feel like if I cheat, I'm failing, right? And I feel maybe the same way in business, where if I don't hit my goals and if I don't work, 16, 20 hours a day, there's two things that I feel like could happen. Number one, I won't hit the goal. We won't hit the goal that we've set out. And it leaves room for someone else to come in that is willing to work 16, 20 hours a day, because I know I'm not the only one. I know I might be an anomaly, but I'm not the only one in the world that's willing to do this. There's plenty of people that are willing to do this. So if I don't do it and I stop doing it, it leaves a window of opportunity for somebody that's willing to do it to step into my shoes and take over. And I can't let that happen. So I feel, again, like there's this overarching fear of failure that I have that's keeping me disciplined, but I don't do things specifically to keep myself disciplined, right? Somebody actually asked me the other day in the DMs, and they were like, "Hey, I can't remember what this was about." They're like, "What the fuck was it about?" I don't even remember what it was about. It was something. It was like a family member. They were asking me. They're like, "Hey, why didn't you eat anything at this particular event?" Or I noticed like you, and I was like, "No, because I'm on my diet." And they were like, well, why are you dieting? And I think that's so like such a weird question to ask, I think. And I responded and I said, because I like to challenge myself. And they were like, oh, They're like, well, that's weird, but respectable. And I was like, yeah, I guess so. Because I don't know. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Like, what do you think all this is? Like, what do you actually think, like, the reason, like, because I don't do anything. Remember how I was talking about all these, like, morning routines that all these people tell me about, and they're, like, fucking 2 hours deep? Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, I wake up, get my emailing done that came through over the night as I was sleeping. Once that's done, I pack my shit and leave, unless something else is going on that I have to deal with. But then I just grab my fucking computer bag and get in my car, or like get dressed, get in my car and leave. Like that's it. I don't do like any of this other weird shit. So like, not that it's weird or whatever works for you, but I feel like all that shit is just delaying the inevitable. You still got to go to fucking work that day. Mm-hmm. The fuck you're almost like delaying the act of what will actually propel you to accomplish your goal. Yeah. So like, what is it? What are we doing here? So I don't know. What do you think? You've been around me enough where you think you might have some opinions.
Yeah, I think there's also like, and you've mentioned this before, and it's kind of related, but it's the fear of now like losing what you've built.
Yeah.
Right.
I have a big,
so it's kind of like grown from still kind of like maybe like a deep rooted fear of failure into a fear of just like losing what was established. Yeah. Right. I mean,
regressing.
Even like, for example, like in our daily sales, like we'll naturally have these, like it'll fluctuate. And if we have a day where it's actually like 5% lower, 3% lower than the same day last year, you're like, Clark, what the fuck's going on? Like,
yeah. We got to look into this.
We have to look into it. Why are we down 3%, 5%?
Seriously.
And like if you're just like it's just normal, but also at the same time, if you have that mindset every single time, then that's going to start happening too much, and then you're actually going to be regressing in total.
That's why I look into it, because I have been in certain situations where, you know, a previous employee was like, don't fucking worry about it. What are you getting all worried about and this and that? And it's not like I'm worrying about it. I'm attentive to it.
Right.
I won't lose ground, and I don't want to lose ground. And in the event we are losing ground, I need to fucking know about it sooner than later.
Exactly.
That's the response that I have. It's not that I'm necessarily worried about it. It's I'm competitive, and no fucking chance am I going to let a competitor swoop in unknowingly and start siphoning off my shit. It's not going to happen. So I want to know, and that's why I'm so like up everybody's ass about it, because I don't want that to happen. But there has been times in the past where somebody took that position and was like, hey, listen, like, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. And next thing you know, what is it? There actually is an issue. I think, one of the issues was, a competitor came in and thought that they could do something kind of underhandedly, and we didn't know about it. There's been, pricing changed in the market. We were too late to react. These are things that are very important to take note. And you might see it in your sales before you actually take notice of it in the market. You might see it being reflected in your actual revenue. So yes, when things are dropping, I want to know. I want to know, and I want to know if there's an actual explanation for why this is occurring. I think it's very important to be, and that's being proactive instead of like having to, you imagine this. Imagine like not being proactive, and if you notice a day where it's like weird, right? Versus like, what are you gonna do? Let 30 days go down like that? Well, 30 days over the course of like $1.5 million or $2 million, that's huge, right? What are you gonna do? You're just gonna give up like what? 10% of $2 million is $400,000. No, what did I say? 10%?
10%, $200,000. Yeah.
Yeah, $200,000. So like, I'm not gonna let that happen. Then think about all the customers like that left, right? No, those are ours. Okay, we're doing, customer retention is so huge. You got to do everything that you can to keep your customer. It's so much more expensive to go out and get new customers. So if the market is changing and you're not knowing about it, or you're not seeing it, I think that our revenue is such a great indicator of being able to spot changes in markets and in the economy, right? So I think that these fluctuations that differ from a day-to-day, when you're comparing last year's sale on the same day of that week is very important to keep track of and to see if there's very slight differences or what's going on. And I think there needs to be, if you can't find an explanation on why you're seeing dips like that, then they need to be investigated a little bit more, because you might find something sooner than later that might go unnoticed for weeks and maybe a month. I've had this happen before. We've seen small dips where we didn't know, but like a feed was down that was supposed to be feeding, say, Amazon. Our subscription model was down. You don't want to have
a product is sold out that we didn't know
product
was sold out
that we didn't know that was a big seller that production didn't get ahead of. So there's so many things that reduce the buying experience on our site that if we're not proactive, I feel like, even though I am anal as fuck about it, I think that we have to be very attentive, because it could spiral into a larger issue if not essentially coddled, right?